Brook is one of the Straw Hat's most unusual members. After eating the revive fruit, he passed away and then came back to life as a skeleton. These days, he's the crew's musician, but he can also fight using swords, ice powers, and more. Even if he's your absolute favorite character in One Piece, there's still some trivia and details that you probably don't know about him. Hopefully, this list will teach you something new. What are some things you didn't know about Brook? Here's a meta detail: an Algerian rapper named Soul King not only took his name from Brook, he also mixed Brook's laugh into one of his tracks. Here's another fun bit of info: if the Straw Hats raced each other, Brook would win. His light body allows him to run faster than anyone else. Number 1. In episode 509, Brook plays a song on his violin that he hopes will cheer his crewmates up. This song is actually the same song that Battler plays in the third movie. But while Brook is trying to soothe his friend's spirits, Battler was using it to enrage animals. It's not clear why that was his song of choice. Number 2. Sometimes, the most fun thing about fictional characters is how they influence the real world. A French-speaking, Algerian rapper named Soul King sampled Brook's signature laugh in his song Gorilla. It seems likely that he got his rapper name from Brook too, since it sounds a lot like Brook's nickname, Soul King. What's more, Soul King's 2018 album is called Fruit du Demon, and has a man with Blackbeard's powers on the cover. That part isn't connected to Brook, but it makes it pretty clear that the artist is a One Piece fan. Number 3. According to Oda, he'd be an Austrian detective. He didn't explain why he chose that location, or that career, but it's pretty fun to imagine Brook trying to solve cases. Number 4. The 4Kids dub is notorious for making huge changes to One Piece. While they had stopped dubbing the series before Brook showed up, one of their earlier changes did some major damage to his storyline. For reasons that were never properly explained, most of the Reverse Mountain arc was cut from the 4Kids dub. This meant that Brook's backstory with Laboon was no longer part of the story. Funimation would eventually dub the arc in 2009, several years after it was initially cut. Number 5. Most One Piece characters have birthdays that are somehow connected to their names. Brook is an exception. His April 3rd birthday is actually linked to his devil fruit. 4 to 3 can be derived from Yomi. Number 6. You might not think that a skeleton with no organs would be able to eat food, but Brook chows down just like anybody else. His favorite food is curry, but he doesn't get to eat it often. He's not fond of lemons, since he doesn't have cheeks to help him make a sour face. It's a good thing he's not alive, because lemons and other citrus fruits are super important for helping pirates avoid scurvy. Number 7. As a skeleton who has already lost his life, it would make sense for Brook not to get any taller. In fact, he says as much during his fight with Ryama, when he explains that the reason he takes such good care of his hair is that his body has stopped growing. But after the time skip, Brook's official height goes from 8 feet 8 and 3/4 inches to 9 feet 1 inch. Why this happened, we can't say. Number 8. Brook fights with a cane sword that he calls Soul Solid. A fan requested that he draw a personified version of the sword. They asked for the sword to be female. Most likely, they were hoping for a young, conventionally attractive sword lady. Oda did things his own way. Number 9. Oda knew that he wanted Brook to be a talking skeleton early on. However, in most of the earlier drawings, he lacked one of his most distinguishing features, his giant afro. There was one early drawing where he has his signature hairdo, but it was shaped differently, and he looked a lot more menacing overall. Number 10. When Brook fights Ryuma, he uses a variety of stances and techniques that one fan identified as stemming from fencing. When they asked Oda if Brook was meant to be a fencer, Oda confirmed that he was. Number 11. It might be surprising to learn that Brook is faster than characters like Luffy or Zoro, but it's true. When asked who would win if the Straw Hat crew competed in a race, Oda said that Brook would come in the first place. The reason is that since Brook is a skeleton, he's lighter than everyone else. Perhaps his height helps too, since it likely gives him longer strides. Number 12. A fan asked Oda if Brook and everything else that appears in the Thriller Bark arc was based on movies like The Addams Family and The Nightmare Before Christmas. Oda confirmed that these did influence him, as did a lot of other zombie and horror movies. Number 13. Most characters have wanted posters that look more or less the same. There's a brown backdrop with a photo and information about their bounty and other details. Brook's wanted poster is totally different. The world government decided to simply take an old concert poster of him and slap the info on the bottom. Number 14. Brook is heavily associated with the underworld, a place that can be associated with frigid terrain. That's why he's able to use moves like Chill of the Underworld, which let him place his ice-cold aura into swords and other objects, and use it to attack his foes with ice. While the whole underworld thing is a perfectly good explanation for Brook's ice powers, there might be more to it. It might be a reference to Dajire, or Japanese wordplay. Brook often makes jokes the kind of hokey joke you'd expect from an old man, which makes sense, since he's 88. His crewmates don't usually laugh at his jokes. When someone is using Dajire, they might respond to their audience's lack of enthusiasm by saying Samui. Or it's cold, implying a cold reception to the attempt at humor. This could be why Brook is associated with ice instead of, say, fire. Number 15. At 88 years old, Brook is the oldest member of the Straw Hats by far. He's also the tallest, at 8 feet 8 3/4 inches. Why all the 8s? While this isn't confirmed, it could be because he's heavily associated with music, and there are 88 keys on standard piano keyboard. Do you agree with our lists, or did we miss something? Write it down in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe.